Are you ready? Are you ready? And
Yes,
hello, Laura. How are you?
I am very good. This is the first LinkedIn Live after my holidays, so I'm very excited. How are you, Nicholas?
Great. My day just got so much better knowing that we get to do the enterprise of social for your first event back. Like, how much better does that get?
It doesn't get that much better because when you're fresh and energized, and we're going to talk with somebody who is in one of the Latino countries, that's even much more fun because, well, hopefully, as you said, we have to talk with hands and have some fun today.
Yeah. And we have these great guests. One guest has been a friend for a long time, won the Hype Cycle games, has a killer personal brand, wicked prospector, and then went to the dark side into marketing. I would like to welcome Arthur Castillo.
All right. Hello, everybody. Love that intro, Nicholas. Thank you. Yes, back in the dark side and loving it, but still got love for my salespeople as well.
I love the title. I love the title.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you think of the dark side, a lot of people would even put TikTok, or as I like to joke and call it, the Tiki. And it's this foreign thing that people just not sure how it fits into B2B, but Chili Piper is killing it, and we're about to unveil the person that's behind all of it. Ooh. I forgot to go and ask your last name. Sorry, Marioli. Marioli Arias?
Arias. Hey, happy to be here.
Welcome, Early. Love your TikTok.
Thank you.
Love your TikTok. You make it so much fun and so engaging that it was funny because it pulled me in. And honestly, we've all seen B2B social media, and well, I'm sure we'll joke about it later, but it's like the Twitter headline and insert link, where your guys' TikTok, you've turned it into an art, and it is so much fun. It pulls you in, it stops the scroll, and it really makes you feel one with Chili Piper. Like, it really shows who you guys are, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole goal for us, is showing who we are as a company, and particularly the people who are behind this company.
That shows for sure. And I don't think anybody has questions. What is the percentage of women in Chili Piper at all? Whoever
Not
has
anymore.
there must be the 50%. Love that.
That's a cool
Yeah.
stat I didn't know until we were doing the pre-show. You guys are doing things so much differently, and it's amazing. And I feel like we have to bring up a question of the day that makes it just that much, raises that level of energy and excitement. And so the question of the day is, what is the best gift you have ever been given?
And that goes for the people who are in the chat. But we can start with you, Marioli. What is the best gift you've ever been given?
I think mine is when I graduated from university, my parents gave me like a 6-month trip to Europe. So I did that Euro trip when I was 21, and it was great. Yeah.
Wow. Where did you go?
Yeah.
I lived for those 6 months in Milan, and then I traveled everywhere in Europe, like Greece, Germany, Spain, Italy. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. For
That
20
sounds
A lot of
unbelievable.
Ryanair. Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
Arthur.
Like, how do I top that? You know where my mind went to? It went to direct gifting, like people that like have sent me a gift, and I'm like, okay, that's a good question. And then Marioli's like, 6 months in Europe. How do I top that?
Well,
Okay,
somebody has to send you a better gift then.
I know, right? It's clearly not that memorable. I'll give you two. So one's more not necessarily like a gift that I'm like, oh, I love it. I actually, fun fact, I know I work for Chili Piper. I don't like hot sauce, but I'm going to highlight this right here because I keep it on my desk. This was Kara. So she's recently joined the field marketing team, and she sent me this in the mail during the interview process and said, I'm the secret sauce you're missing. And on the back, it says ingredients like hard work, passion, integrity, connection. I was like, this is so cool. I just want to hire you right now. And now she's working for Chili Piper. So that one was really cool. I keep it on my desk as a nice memento. I've never opened it. And there was actually another one. I'm going to shout out Matt Green from Sales Assembly. He sent me this amazing gift basket with some whiskey glasses, some whiskey stones, and apparently it's between whiskey and tequila. And he actually sent me my favorite tequila by random luck. So that's those are the two that come to mind.
That's nice. That's very, very nice. So thoughtful of them as well. Nick, what was your best gift?
I feel like ladies need to go first.
All right. But I started thinking like, oh, all of those cliche answers about what's the best gift and so on. And not like you, Arthur. I haven't received that many gifts people are sending to pitch for something or whatever it is. But the most memorable gift so far, I'm wearing. And it has been sent to me by Zineb Layachi from LinkedIn. And it's so far, I've loved that so much that, yeah, it's on with me a lot of times.
Okay.
I feel like you guys set the bar so high, and I'm like trying to think of like I think my favorite gifts are experiences. And one just recently, my best friend chose me to be part of his wedding party. And it was honestly just an incredible experience. And I think the part that is the best gift in those moments is the stories that you never got to hear from the other people in the room. Just really getting to know that person that you really appreciate, and all those great moments. And it, for some reason, they always happen at weddings or like family reunions. And so that was a great gift.
That is nice. That's nice.
So what do you guys think? I believe it's time for us to go and dive into a little enterprise of social now that we've warmed up the chat. We got all these brilliant people here with us. And there's this one question that keeps coming up. And I feel like Chili Piper is the perfect company to answer. And is, how do you get leadership on board to do social right? I know.
Mario, like you kick us off.
I think, particularly for us, when it comes to social, it wasn't really a challenge. Because I feel like when I did my interview process, they weren't interviewing me, but I was also interviewing the leadership.
Nice.
And I always knew since I started talking to them that they were in when it comes to social. Like, I have so much support from my leadership when it comes to everything related to social. And I feel that that's for everyone in this company. So it wasn't really a challenge for me, like getting Nicola, Lena, being on board with the company, being on social, or everyone in the company. It's been a challenge before, though. I don't know if I can talk about that a little bit. I used to work on a marketing agency, and it used to be very hard to get people to understand, particularly being on an agency. I think like companies, when they hire a third party, they're like, okay, we don't care about this, do whatever. And that's when it gets complicated. I feel like when the leadership doesn't understand the value of social, is way harder. The way I used to get them, to be on board with social media and strategies in there was showing data, like everything. I could just go back there. Like, this is what's happening. This is what we could be doing. This is how much you could be making, and you are not because you are not on board with this. And I think that's hard to, to battle with. When you go with data, it's just, yeah.
First pops in my mind, like Jerry Maguire moment. Show me the money.
Show me the stats.
It's hard to ignore, right? Once you know.
Yeah, I gotta give props to Nicholas and Alina. They're so in tune with it. I think it also was a bit of timing. I think timing is everything. So Nicholas originally stepped in to be acting CMO, and I think during that time, understanding like the marketing funnel a little bit more, and also our social media presence, I think it kept getting brought up more and more on calls. And he was very tuned into this whole idea of dark social and the dark funnel and how the way people are buying is changing. And I think it is hand in hand with kind of what we preach here at Chili Piper, which is because of the rise of communities, the access to your peers, that by the time somebody lands on your website, they're more than like, they've done their research and they're actually ready to engage in a sales conversation. So it goes well along with like our story in terms of, hey, capturing that the moment of highest intent right there when they're on their website, and don't let that in between go through. But I think they just like really leaned into it. They were firm believers that a lot of the buying conversation happens outside of marketing attribution. And I think they came to realize that when they tried to attribute a lot of our pipeline or closed won revenue, and a lot of it came from direct organic traffic. And that's like really a lot of the journey happens way before they ever search Chili Piper or come onto our website. So I think they really leaned into that. And then Marioli has done an amazing job. I know Dan has done such a great job with our social presence that it almost became too hard to ignore, to the point where it's like, yes, we're ahead of the curve here. Let's actually double down and dive in before a lot of other B2B companies really catch on to this train of like how people are buying. And we've invested so much in communities and tried to have that social presence as a fun, quirky brand. And it's really benefited us. So those are some of the reasons that come to mind in terms of how our leadership has like allowed us so much freedom and empowerment to really lean into the social game.
I
That's
love
true.
it.
Absolutely. And that was one of the comments that I remember about yourselves is like, when you hear Chili Piper, you possibly maybe don't know what they do just yet, but you definitely know the brands. Like, okay, these are the cool people, the TikToks and so on. And it's amazing about B2B. Is like you might know what Microsoft does because your dad might have bought Microsoft. But for the newer brands like yourselves, I think it's absolutely crazy that you managed to do what you are into right now. And
Thank
it's
you.
great.
Yeah.
I would love to be prospecting for you guys. Like, how cool, like back in the day when, you were in the bullpen calling, how cool would it have been to have your guys' social presence while calling? Hey, have you heard of Chili Piper? Yeah, I have. Would you like to sign up today?
Was
it,
that easy, Arthur? You come from the sales side. Is prospecting that easy for you guys due to your social presence?
it, Look, it definitely helps. And I know since Marioli has come on, like our brand has really skyrocketed. So we hear it from the SDRs all the time of like people actually want to have these conversations. They're like, oh, Chili Piper, yeah, I like saw your email, or oh, I see you everywhere on LinkedIn and social. So it definitely makes it easier. But to your point, Laura, that's where we start to come up across of the relevancy versus awareness issue, where people are aware of what we do, but they don't necessarily know contextually what it means to them. And they typically lump us into scheduling software. But I think that's part of the toughest battle, especially when you're going cold outreach of like, can you at least have that person entertain the idea of the conversation simply by the brand you're calling from? And I think we have done a pretty good job of that based on what our SDRs have given us feedback on.
Nice.
Makes sense to me. Like, you've done, no, some people might call it half the battle, but like when people at least know who you are, like that, it's so nice to start that conversation with a little bit of trust. And then, of course, like it comes down to the rep and their ability to have a great conversation. But that's a great starting point when they're like, yeah, I know who you guys are. I watch your tickies all the time. Like, you guys are great. Or, Arthur's everywhere, all over, doing all these different podcasts. He's brilliant.
That's your kind.
But I think we need to talk about what blows my mind the most. What do you think, Laura? TikTok
What is it?
and the talent attraction program that you guys are running? Because
Oh my
I
God.
have never seen somebody use TikTok the way you guys do. But your guys' community in the comments is unreal. And it's so funny because I get people, leaders that tell me all the time that no, nobody on B2B is on TikTok. TikTok is not the place for B2B. And then I look at your guys' TikTok. I'm like, well, maybe you should look at Chili Piper.
Yeah. I mean, we decided to test things on TikTok last year by the end, and we started like, thinking of videos where we could showcase our, first like our products or try different things. It was a very, just testing things on December. After having all those videos that we created on December, we decided that what we really wanted our TikTok to be was a channel to showcase our company culture and probably to attract talent. So that's how it all started. And then we just started noticing the things that people were interested about when it was, when we talked about Chili Piper. And those things that Laura said about the 50% female leadership, there's a reason why it is in there, that people feel very connected to this type of stats. As a woman, I can understand that. And it's one of the reasons why I joined the company. It was one of those posts that I saw before I actually applied. So I know that this can be very attractive for women. And then other things that could be in there, like, about our remote work culture, that's very interesting. I found that was a very great niche on TikTok to talk about these things, and how we want to be the company of the future, and how companies are doing this, and how we can be better, and this new way of working. So that's how we kind of created the strategy. It was like, now we're going to talk about our company culture. We're going to highlight our benefits, or what we perceive as our benefits, and then made a commitment to showcase our diversity, which is something that's just in our DNA as a company. So that's why you see all these faces, all these people coming on board to, be part of our tikis. I cannot not laugh every time I hear Nicola say tiki.
Marioli, who does your TikToks? Now you're saying people are coming on board and so on. Is there an overall strategy? We're doing it like that, and who is buying into the strategy to execute on it?
I mean, it's me, and then we have Maria. She helps us create some of these videos too, and I think you can see both of us. We are the ones who make the more videos. You can see the red hair and the one with the brown hair. And then you see that everyone in the company, like everyone who wants to be part of a video, they can be in there. We created a framework to make it very easy for them to be on board. And I felt like this was a way to change things. If we wanted to showcase our diversity, we needed people in the company to be on those videos.
That's amazing.
Yeah. We've seen like great stats from this. We've had over 1.5 million views by now in just this year. And then we drove around 8,000 applications via TikTok.
Damn.
And sorry, one more time. How many?
8,000. And we're talking, we are like at 250 employees now. That's insane. Yeah.
Wow.
And
I can see
besides that, we have.
saying, I'd like to work for you. It's like a company to work for. Imagine what's going to happen in like half a year more.
Now.
Wow.
Could you imagine doing that in an email campaign? 8,000?
Yes.
Wow. I thought it was like it'd be like 1,000 or 2,000. Like, that is unbelievable. What is the sentiment when people reach out to you? Do you ever go through and see, like, do they really understand us? Do they like get our culture? Do you do any type of assessment on that?
Yes, we get like a lot of comments related to the culture. They like, you said something previously about how they say like maybe they don't know what you do, but they know about you. So that's what's happened. They sometimes they don't really understand what we do, but they want to be part of it. They're like, I don't know, this sounds fun, so I'm applying. I'm checking out what you guys have and maybe apply. Now it's crazy. We get like influencers talking about us, like we were not paying them. They're just like great companies to work for, and that didn't happen before. It's happening now. We have people in the comments like, I've applied like 10 times, or I'll keep applying until I get it. And then we have people like Dream Company and things like that. And that's something that comes from this presence that we have on TikTok now.
Wow. Amazing. It's absolutely crazy. And you are on the spot where people are who would thought that somebody would be looking for a job on TikTok? But then you buy them in with your culture. And then, oh, I want to search. I want to be a part of this company. Well, so after scrolling all the cat and baby videos or whatever else that was, that's amazing. Arthur, on that note, we were discussing employee advocacy and social selling in those two. And that's kind of, we're twisting a little bit into that. What came first in Chili Piper?
Oh man, I think it's definitely employee advocacy, and even like going off of what Marioli was saying, I feel like we're almost creating this virtuous cycle where people are seeing how much the employees like to work here, and we're sharing about it. And then sometimes I feel even guilty of like, am I really hyping Chili Piper up that much? And then people come in and they're like, it's even better than what you explained. So that it brings the type of people that are already resonating and want to have more of a voice and want to get more active on social. So they see that, then they come in, then they kind of join the train, and then we have that more and more. So it really has become a virtuous cycle. And I think because of that, Laura, you actually said something that was like amazing to hear from you of like, because people have now like attach some fun, humorous, quirky brand to us, it's like they're actually excited to get prospected by Chili Piper. And it's like, oh my God, like here it is. Like I'm getting something, which was so cool to hear from you because now I'm starting to get it a little bit more on the marketing side of getting prospected to. Before I was in sales and even a lot of people wouldn't prospect salespeople, but I'm starting to see that, and it is pretty bland. But to your point, I feel like now I'm looking at who's it coming from. Maybe it's a specific company that's already been top of mind, and because we've had that focus on employee advocacy, it's really made social selling and a lot of all our other motions a lot easier, and even getting employees to contribute to TikTok videos and LinkedIn. It's been really cool.
I don't meet that a lot, that people would say that it goes that much hand in hand, but it makes total sense. Because if you love the company you are at, well, you just want to tell the world about it and not just reshare the blog or like, oh, I've got promoted to a senior level or something. It's like, this is my social post. Like, talk a lot about it and then get everything out, whatever you love about your company. Nice.
I think there's like a mindset that comes from it too, right? Of like, we talk so much about like mindset and anything else. Mindset in sales is huge. So if you're getting people excited to come to work every day, that shows in their conversations. And then
Yeah.
a lot of the time they'll even share that story of like, oh, I had a really cool prospecting call with this person. And it just really creates that virtuous cycle. So I think there's something to be said about the mindset of how you show up to work and then how that allows you to do your best work as well.
I love that.
Yeah. And I think happy employees are one of the best marketing strategies out there, honestly. It's not only, we've talked about this in terms of higher productivity, lower attribution rates, and whatever you want to talk about. But then you have people who are like your first champions, like it's people who are living the culture, who know about the product, who know everything about this company, and they are your biggest fans. And when you have that, then it's just easier, you know? It's like when you want to be friends with someone and that person, you know that it's like super friendly and all their friends love them. You know, like this is such a great guy, you know, this is such a great person, because if all these people are in there and are close to this person and they love it, it has to be, there's something in there. Yeah.
One thing I've been trying to figure out is like you get a lot of companies like Laura was hinting at earlier that they it's the reshare or it's like the generic company stuff. But the one thing you guys do so incredibly well is it'll stop my scroll because it's Chili Piper plus the employee. Like it's almost like you've empowered people to go and own their identity. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you get a piece of them and it's with you guys with that passion that drives it. Where does that come from? Is it just leading by example and people are learning because you're making it comfortable for them to post? Or do you gotta like prime them and like give them like a doc of like, hey, if you follow this, this is what can happen? Like, how do you guys do that? Because it's honestly, you guys are in the top I think it was like 2% of people I've seen on Sales Nav that have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days for the entire company. Like it's not even like your guys are doing well. It's like you guys are off the charts.
Yeah. I think it's there's a culture of trust here. That's the first thing. We do not have like a dog telling people what they can talk about or not. I think that's actually what has defined this success that we have with this, because people feel like they can talk about anything, and they truly can. Like I said, I'm not writing copy for Arthur or everyone in the company, you know, to post. They post whatever they want. So that's the start of it. And then, yes, I think we lead by example. We create content, a lot of content, not only like what you see on social, but we have like a great content team, also creating all these assets that help them understand what they could be talking about. And then, yeah, of course, we post in the company account. They know that these are the topics that we're talking about, and they feel empowered to do that. But besides that, I think something that we've done pretty well is having this kind of group culture where we support each other. So we are all about supporting each other's posts and commenting and talking about it in social. And I think that's actually the key to this success that people see. Like they feel comfortable to do it. And our job has been, lead by example and also give them the tools if they ever need it. Like if anyone in the company wants to know how to post in social, I will talk to them and tell them about, what I know are my best practices or whatever. But yeah, definitely we're not being rigorous with it. Like we're not telling anyone this is what you should be posting. And I think when you see that freedom, I always compare this to the way I was raised. Like I didn't have rules growing up at all. And I grew up to be like a very methodical, kind of very responsible kid, even when I didn't have any rules in my house. I had all the freedom to do whatever I wanted, but I chose, what I still think I did, good choices growing up. So I think this is the same. People are making their choices because they feel empowered to do it.
Yeah. I love this comparison so much, but how do I put that on my own kids? How do we remove those rules from now on? No, but the first idea that was born, actually, a lot of people ask me also once in a while. It's like, oh, how do you do social selling and dream data? Do you have any structure and so on? And what my answer usually is, well, we're small. It's really easy for us to do that because, well, like we're sitting in the same room and there are no rules and you post whatever you like. And the beauty for me to hear you, Marioli, say a similar thing about Chili Piper really refreshes me because I started to think, okay, when we scale larger, will there have to be rules? Because some companies live by rules, but for you, due to the culture that you've brought in, well, then it's easier to like be that brought up kid without any rules and still be a very cool and decent human being.
We got a question
I think so.
from the group to tie into this. Is your framework for getting employees on board available? Have you guys put this out in the world to go and inspire social for other great B2B companies?
I mean, not yet, but I'm working on it.
Ooh, in the works. Stay
Yes.
tuned.
If you were to talk a little bit about that kind of onboarding framework, what do you put into that? Because there sounds to be some rules to onboard people into social.
Good
No,
question.
I mean, I wouldn't say rules. I would say only we're giving people instructions about how to do it in a better way. This is particularly this was a conflict for me. Like, how do I get? I don't want to go to I don't know Arthur, who's super busy, and tell him, Arthur, I need you to record this video. Take time from your, you know, super busy life and do this for me because it's gonna be great for social. I didn't want to do that. So I was thinking how I can make it. I still want, other pipers. I want them to be part of this, but I want to make it as easy as I can. So the framework for me was, how do I do that? How do I make it easier? And I came up with this framework where I basically, took the best of the TikTok trends, and have them just record videos of them pointing at pens, for example, and make it super easy because they didn't have to do anything else more than be on camera and do this. So this framework is more related to technical stuff, like, hey, if you want to record a TikTok video, make sure you have good lighting, make sure this is you're recording on vertical. So it's not anything about you should dress like this, you should do this or that. It's more like technical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we give them great guidelines. And to your point, Marioli, and Nolan does a great job of this too. I think there's two things. We make it super easy for the employees to contribute by saying, hey, here's a doc. If you want to be featured on our TikTok, just follow this and then upload it to this Google Drive. Everything else will be done for you. Then we have like social content that you can post. I think the other thing is a lot of our employees get to see what good looks like. And I think so often, even in sales, that's like, hey, you could have improved that cold call. And you're like, okay, how? And you're not really getting coached to that. right? But if you have an example of saying, hey, these are our top 3 cold calls, listen to these, hear the tonality, hear the questions they're asking. Now all of a sudden I know what good looks like and I can start to copy that. I think because that virtuous cycle we talked about earlier, and any employee coming in has so many examples of what good looks like, whether it's like a long form post, whether I know AJ comes to mind with his memes. He's amazing at those, right? And people say, okay, that's pretty funny. So I think there's so many examples there of employees saying, oh, that really resonated with me. I like the way that they've gone about telling that story, or you know what, I'm actually going to tell a longer story in this form. So I think one, making it super easy for employees to contribute. We have a Chili Love channel that a lot of people post there, social posts there to get amplified. Nolan does a great job of getting our employees on board with some of our programs. But I think that key is really, what does good look like within the company? And they have so many examples and other pipers that they can lean on that really makes it easy for them to contribute.
Absolutely. And then I think that after seeing what good looks like, they also see the results. They see that, you know, these posts are going places and that people are paying attention to it, and maybe they see the benefits other employees are having just by having a social media presence. So I think that that makes it exciting for them too. And again, I think it's part of the DNA of the company. Maybe, I don't know, the people team have something to do with that. I don't know if they see those things in us. But yeah, it's just the culture we are in. It's all about sharing and hyping for each other. Yep.
Look at this. Look how amazing this is. Chili Piper is rapidly becoming one of the companies I aspire to emulate. You guys seem to be doing everything right in terms of both marketing and valuing your employees. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You guys are doing so many great things. And one thing I've seen that's really cool that a lot of companies can't say is you guys build raving fans. Like crazy, and not in a bad way, like really great raving fans that just love you guys and they want to tell everyone. How does that, was that like a happy accident? Was that like some planned like mad science that you guys have been working on behind the scenes, or how are your social campaigns making this happen?
Yeah, I can take a stab at it first. To me, I like originally, and I can maybe tell a story about how I came to join Chili Piper. It was really the product that at the time I was experiencing the biggest problem I think we solved, which is we were selling to dentists at the time, and they're submitting inbound requests, and even if we were to get back to them within 5 minutes and try and call them, we could never get a hold of them. And I remember typing in Rev Genius's community, like, how are people handling this situation? And somebody mentioned Chili Piper, and they actually introduced me to their Chili Piper rep. They put in a bunch of times within an email, and it let me schedule it right then and there with one click. I didn't have to add in my name or anything because I already happened to be in the CRM of Chili Piper. And to me, I was like, holy crap, that was the smoothest booking experience ever. I want this for my prospects. So I think it starts a little bit with the product, and it's a really great product and the problems it solves. And I also think it's somewhat of a hidden problem that not many B2B companies recognize they have, where we're seeing that for those high intent demo requests, at best, 40% of those are making it to first meeting, meaning 50 to 60% of your pipeline never even, and these are people that are asking to speak to sales, never even get a chance to speak to them. And that's for a variety of issues, maybe sales taking too long, syncing and all of that. So I think once people see, and across our portfolio of companies, we typically get that to like 80% plus. And that's where companies can make the claim that they doubled their inbound pipeline just by having a smart calendar right after that form of high intent. They see it happening and they're like, holy crap, this is like within a month, I'm starting to see these results. I have to tell other people. And then it slowly starts maybe in their peer group, and they're saying, hey, have you guys ever implemented Chili? But like, I'm seeing crazy results here. And that slowly starts to happen. I think what we've also done a good job of is those people that are getting results, we're trying to share their case studies with the world. So we do a great job of capturing like video case studies. reposting it, and then trying to shower them with gifts. I think like most people probably have seen our hot sauce now. That seems to create a lot of raving fans and anticipation for that. So I think it's a combination of like the product really speaking for itself and having these results that people want to share. And then once we identify those champions from the woodwork, then we really trying to put them front and center, whether it's with gifts, whether it's on our website, finding opportunities for them to speak on our behalf. That helps a lot. But yeah, what did I miss there, Marielle?
I agree with both points. I mean, number one, yes, our product. I think it's easy to love tools that make your life easier. I mean, your life as a professional. It's just like, I love Slack. I love it. And I know it makes my life easier. So that's why. So I think that's, the main reason, the product, of course. And then, yes, the second point, I think it's easy to root for people who are rooting for other people.
Yeah.
And that's part of our marketing strategy, particularly in social media. We love talking about other people. We love putting them, in the center of the conversation. And I think that makes it even easier because people feel like, oh, they support other people so much. Let's support them. And that's how it has worked for us. I think it all goes back again to also our employees. I feel, again, I think this was even a strategy before with traditional marketing. When you had like stores where people were smiling all the time, you wanted to get in. Like, I don't know how it was in your countries, but it was in mine definitely. Like the best restaurants had like, you see like everyone was smiling in there and you wanted to go and eat there because what's happening here? I want to know. And I think that's part of it too.
That's
Makes
pretty.
sense.
Yeah, exactly. Make your customer smile, and the rest will want to join the crowd. It's like that's the best part of it. Really, really cool. And moving into like the smiling crowd of your clients, we can move into the smiling crowd of the people at Chili Piper and talk a little bit about the personal brands. Like we talk a lot personal brand versus company brand. We see both for Chili Piper, but the question that we thought of was, could you talk a little bit about why personal brands are the game changers for companies?
Yes. I think media managers know this very well. Like, it's very hard to grow a company account. The rules are very different. That's, the start of this conversation. It's like 10 times harder to grow a company account than it is to grow a personal brand. And there's a reason for it. I think that in the way the world works now, we trust our peers more than we trust brands nowadays. We know brands will say whatever they have to say to sell. We know that, and you already are like, oh, this is bull, like, no. And that's why we prefer to believe humans, other, people like you. That's why personal brands are so important, even to power company brands, because, we trust what other people say. I think I could give an example here. Like maybe on my personal account, I can get like 3,000 impressions a month. And maybe Chili Viper having like more than 10 times my following gets that only 4 times.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of impact to what one person has to say versus what a company has to say. And I think it all goes back to that, like people trust people more than ever. And they are, we're trying to break a little bit of this with the way we do social in Chili Piper, but I think people are more inclined to believe other humans. And this all goes back to also like the conversation we have with the dark funnel. And maybe Arthur can talk a little bit more about that. Being the head of the dark social here. And yeah, it is definitely about that. People not trusting brands that much. Is being able to have a personal brand where they talk from their experiences. And I think it also breaks a barrier. I always talk about how brands need to feel more human in order to actually make an impact. And humans don't have to pretend to be a human to make an impact. So personal brand is, there's a barrier already that, it's just destroyed by you being a person talking about a problem that other, person might have.
Yeah, the stat of like at any point in time, 1 to 3% of people are in market for what you have really rings true to me, because this is actually something I thought a lot about when I did make the switch over from sales to marketing, is that there's so few people that are actively looking for your solution or a solution similar to yours. So how do we start to affect the other 97 to 99%? I think a lot of it is through personal branding and company branding, right? Like, so that when they are finally in a position to evaluate, you're the first brand that they think about. And it's almost like a done deal. It's like, hey, like as soon as I have budget for this, I'm going to go to Chili Piper because I've seen the brand. I saw how they interact with people. I see how excited people are, the results they're getting. It really makes it like a no brainer. And I was seeing this from the sales side, and it kind of scared the shit out of me, to be honest, where it was like, okay, as a sales rep, I'm having less and less impact on the buyer journey. Now these people have access to their peers. They're going to go straight there. They're not going to like listen to what I say because I'm super biased. And I thought to myself, okay, if I don't have a strong personal brand, if I don't have a good network that is willing to refer me and saying, hey, you should talk to Arthur because some of his clients got these results. I was thinking like in 5 years' time as a sales rep, I wasn't going to sell anything. So to me, I started to think, okay, how do I be more involved in these conversations that my buyers are having, whether that's through community, whether that's through social. And I think the way people are even consuming content has changed. I think a lot of the time we would click off to a blog or a video, long form video. Now it's all about I'm staying within the feed and I'm consuming content there. So how do we now start to change our content strategy so people can actually consume and we can educate them or entertain them right from where they're already consuming content? So all of those reasons to me, it was like, you have to invest in personal brand. It's going to be a main differentiator now, and companies are going to want to buy your product when they finally are in market. And then I truly do feel like 5 years from now, if you're not on board with this, your company is going to struggle tremendously, which I mean, ultimately is going to be good for brands like us because we're really doubling down on this and we're starting to see the results.
But how that's no different than when we used to in sales. We would call, we'd have our territory, we'd work our territory, understanding those buying cycles, and so that we were familiar. So when they were ready, if it was time to go and switch, or if they just had budget in that timeline, we'd call back, or they would call us. But that was always 1-to-1. How cool is it now that we can do this one to many, if not do it even better because of social proof? Oh yeah, like I
Yeah.
know my peer, they're commenting on their stuff, saying how great they are. Of course, I'm going to go with them over anyone else. Like we would have killed for that.
Yeah.
Maybe in networking and face to face, or there was more people in the room, you might get that somebody like speaking high of you. But social, like, just added a 10x to everything.
Yeah, it's the maturity of the internet and how we've come, like even LinkedIn, if you think about it, 5 years back, it's probably still a digital resume. Now I'm communicating with you both of like, hey, I'm super excited for this. What are we going to talk about? Or other people are messaging me. And I think there's also something to be said about like even people that don't necessarily engage with what you're posting out there. I can't tell you how many DMs I've gotten of people that I thought never engage with my content. And they're like, hey, that was really interesting. I'd be interested in learning more about Chili Piper. I'm like, huh, I never would have known. So yeah, it's a crazy time we're living in. But I think with the maturity of the internet and the rise of communities, like you're right, Nicholas, this allows us to amplify and it has got me to rethink like what even maybe a demo is. How do we almost create a demo experience for one to many instead of that one to one where back in the day that's how people learned about products. But I think there's other unique avenues through social, through dark social, dark funnel, all of those that people can come to resonate with your message and want to learn more about your product.
I love this. And I feel like this next question, it ties in really well, but it's kind of a tough one. And I would love to get your guys' opinion on it. Do you think the drive for efficiency is killing social media?
What do you think, Maria? Should I go?
I think that there's a part of efficiency when you have to accept there are things that can be measured as part of it. But I think that it won't kill social media. it's something the opposite. Social media is about being, organic and natural, and that's actually the success of social media. You have a good strategy in place. So I don't think so, but I think that they can both live together perfectly. What do you think, Arthur?
I think with anything that seems to be working, people are always trying to find a shortcut. So I think like people might read of a company having success doing social selling, and then that becomes the flavor of the month, and they're saying, how do we now create this framework where we can almost make our employees robots where they're actively social selling? So I think the mindset of why you're doing it really really impacts it. I think if
Mhm.
people are saying, hey, we need to do this to sell and hit our growth goals and all of that, that's going to shine through in your content. For us, we did have such a unique company culture, such a culture of trust and empowerment that we wanted to show that off. And as a result, like people started to come back to that. And then to your question earlier, Laura, of like employee advocacy versus social selling, I think that started the snowball effect of, oh,
Mm.
this brand seems to be having a lot of fun. And now we can actually layer that with a little bit of social selling. And I know our SDOs are super creative with how they reach out to people. And a lot of it is with this mentality of like, let's deposit a couple of things before we ask for withdrawal. Not everything's about getting a demo, and not everybody's going to be actively buying at that moment in time. But again, if we can stay top of mind, if we can make them smile, like Mary always talking about, it creates this brand affinity that people are like, huh, okay, that was pretty cool. Yeah, like I don't know what it is about. Or maybe they go to our website and they start researching and they say, actually, this seems really interesting. Yeah, maybe I will take a look at this. So I think to your question, Nicholas, does efficiency kill the social game? I think if you're going in with it with the mindset of, oh, we need to do this in order to sell, absolutely. But I think if you're going in and saying, hey, we have a unique angle or we have such a fun company culture that we want to share with the world, and then layering a little bit of social selling on top of that, that's what seems to have worked with us really well.
Okay.
Such a great answers. And it's so true. It is definitely that mindset. Hey, like how many times do you scroll through LinkedIn, see company stuff, or using Sales Nav and you're following people and you're trying to go in and comment and you just get a post about a post.
Mhm.
You're like, so
Yeah.
you're on LinkedIn just because you felt like you needed to? Or like you can feel it. It feels very like you guys were talking about earlier. It's not human, it's just disingenuine. Like it feels
Transactional
out of
almost, right?
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think once people like anybody wants to see this done well, check out Chili Piper. Like you can tell that it's social first. You could tell that it's you guys really are hyping people. I don't know like a proper term for like the hype masters, but if you look at like really it's what you guys do. Like it's really cool how you're bringing your customers back and like look how amazing these people are. And it's like proper storytelling too. Like we're not the heroes, they're the hero. We're the guide that are making, along the journey with them. And it's so good. We got a good question here that I think Sales Navigator just you're not wrong. Okay. Arthur Marioli. For those of us who are camera shy, is it essential to go on camera? Are there other ways to build your personal brand, especially as a solopreneur? Great question.
Mm.
I'd
Yeah.
say no.
Yeah, go ahead.
You think it's essential to be on camera? I don't think so. If you have something to say and find a format where you're comfortable, if it's writing, it's okay. If it's through memes, it's okay. And yeah, just find what works for you. Social media is also about being, I think, yourself. Try to find, what works for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's whatever you enjoy or whatever even gets it started. I think often we're even losing the battle before we begin and we're asking ourselves questions like, oh, I can never make it. Like, I'm camera shy. Okay, maybe you're really good at writing. I'd argue that probably a lot of authors couldn't necessarily do a video podcast because they know how to communicate through the written word versus video. So I wouldn't say it is. I'd say find your swim lane, find something you enjoy. I do see a benefit in video in that you can create something like this where it's a long form content. We've been here almost 50 minutes, which is crazy. It's like flown by. But now we can take snippets of this and create maybe 10 posts for ourselves that we spray out through our 2 weeks. So I think there's benefit to it, but by no means do I think it's essential. I think you can come out of your shyness. I know I had a huge fear of public speaking, and slowly over time and exposing myself to that fear, it's gotten a lot better. But no, ultimately, like, find wherever you feel comfortable sharing either experiences or sharing your journey. A lot of people start off with written and then get comfortable with video after.
Yeah, lots of examples out on LinkedIn. People started just being consistent. They made a good book that I would recommend is Seth Godin's The Practice.
Mm.
Just show up. Just show up
Mm.
consistently.
Yeah.
And the more you show up, the better you'll get. One of my favorite lines from him is, if I waited till I had a great post, I would never post at all. Because all you guys, like, how often have you posted something and you're looking back and you're like, "Ooh, that was not my best." But then how many times have you posted something and you thought that, and then it blew up and you're like, I just don't know anymore. Happens.
Many. That's the answer. I mean, it happens. You'll have good posts and bad posts, and I guess sometimes it's also about the ways people like to receive something. So it's very variable. I have written posts that I go like, ugh, and then it's like people like it. I'm like, oh, really? Nice surprise. But this is a big part of social media, understanding that it's not only about what you like, but also the ways other people want to interact with the message you're putting out there.
Okay, so this leads into something I want to go and add in too. So I'm so glad you brought this up. So Seth Godin was he was looking at like the top 10 shows that were on TV and how they changed over 10 years, and not one of them was the same. And he noticed that the ones that did stay, or like were somewhat they were never in the top 10, but the ones that stayed around were very niche. And one of the things I pulled out of that podcast is that you guys do this really well, is you lean in when everyone is running away. So like social injustice, or like those really big conversations that really tie into who you guys are as your corporate identity, your brand, that bigger picture of where you fit into the world. You guys lean in when everyone is getting out. That must feel amazing.
Yeah, I mean, this goes credit to our founders, and Nicholas always says something that's really resonated with me. And I think some of it comes from his experience. He has had, I think, 2 or 3 successful exits in the past, and I'm sure a lot of learnings along the way. But he talks about Chili Piper not as just a company, but it's this journey that we're all on. And Nicholas and Alina both know that they can do so much with the company. Sure, we can like look to hit growth goals and become a unicorn and all of that, but then what, right? And they have this passion to serve the world and have a huge impact. And they created a foundation, Citizens of Our Planet, that we've donated to a lot of these causes. So I feel they've done such a great job of like bringing on high performers that are aligned to this mission of Chili Piper, but also knowing that it doesn't end there. It's like, okay, now that we're a successful company, we can actually have a bigger impact on the world and a lot of these issues that we feel so passionate about. So all credit goes to them. They've done a fantastic job of like having that vision and then instilling it across the entire company.
It's amazing. When you guys are posting, especially from the company page, do you ever get that like reluctance to say what you want to say on like big topics?
Not really. I think that like what Arthur said is just on point. It goes back to our founders, and this is somehow their vision, of trying to find a way to be helpful, which is one of our core values at Chili Piper. So it really makes sense with our brand, and it's very rare and special to have founders who want to help people, because I feel like most people would like to do that, or most people would be happy to celebrate people who do this. So I think it's also going to be trend in the future, as with new generations caring more about social causes and everything. I think we millennials kind of started this, but the next generation is probably going to take it to the new level. And I think companies should definitely start thinking that the audience is going to respond only to companies who are willing to stand for something and say why, and do things to help the world and actually stand for what they believe in.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we believe in these causes that we post about. So I've never been reluctant to post about it.
Amazing. It just, we talk about like cold calling and like outreach as in sales and building that familiarity out in the world so that people want you. In a world where we have so much choice right now, it's really easy to see why you guys are the top choice when it comes to scheduling. So you guys have done such an incredible job. And guys, in the comments, everyone that's here, if we have 5 more minutes left, is anybody has anything they want to ask really quick, throw it in there and I'll make sure we get to ask. Laura, did you have any burning questions for these two that you've been sitting there so patiently waiting to ask?
Not really. I think we've touched upon a lot of things. I really, really like and love the brand that you have created, and the fact that I've learned about you without even knowing what you were actually doing. It's like that was the coolest one. So now, not really. And I think we've covered most of it. So if there are any questions in the chat, then let's do that.
Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll flip the mic to you guys. Do you have any questions either for us or the audience?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, the first thing that came to mind is, what has been your biggest learning since doing the B2B Power Hour?
Oh. Just showing up consistently and being curious will take you anywhere you want to go in life.
Yeah.
The second biggest learning is there's something about having a podcast that makes the untouchable approachable. It is the most amazing thing when you can go to Morgan's in the chat, so I can't say who, but we have we have somebody coming up soon that we're going to be announcing. And I just reached out to him and asked, I was like, hey, would you like to join us for a chat? Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. And if you don't do it for your company, you should do it for yourself, to have a podcast or have an outlet for learning, because it makes you a better person. And I feel like your discovery skills also get a lot better, but that's a side point. Laura, what about yourself? I'm very curious.
Yeah, you were so friendly and nice to invite me to these power hours that we're doing once in a while about social. And one of the biggest learnings for me was that people that are across on the other side of the ocean, wherever they are in the world, they can become like really close working friends with you. Like, we're having one-on-ones with Nick every week. I've never known this guy. First, I've known about their podcast, that I got invited to the podcast, spoke with Morgan, and this community is absolutely amazing. And from there is like the exposure to your own personal brand. You can take it anywhere. So if you've created it for yourself, like Nicholas is saying, you either do it for yourself or for the company you work for. Wherever you go, it will follow you. People will know you for, not for the t-shirt you're wearing, but for the way you are there in social media, how present you are, what you stand for. Are you afraid to post? Are you touching on those scary topics that nobody wants to actually talk about? And then it's easier to be both approached and approach others. Every time Nick is talking about like, who should we talk to next? When he mentioned Chili Piper, should we invite Chili Piper to this? I said, Nick, are you sure?
I never told Arthur about this.
I was like, can we get to talk to those people? He was like, yeah, let me try out. I was like, a couple of hours after, said, we've got this. But that doesn't happen in sales ever. So it's like another level of success that is coming up with being able to do live shows like this. So thank you for this, Nicholas, and thank you for being with us, Mariola and Arthur. So for me, it was like the craziest honor.
Oh man, I'm glad I asked the question.
It was a great one.
Laura was very excited. It was this is a fun little like ending story. So Laura's like, who should we have next? And I'm like, why don't we do Chili Piper? And so I reached out, and that next meeting with us talking, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe we get to go and do Chili Piper. They're amazing. And like, so we fangirled a little bit, more than a little bit. Let's be serious. But yeah, you guys are amazing, and we really appreciate it. But I think maybe just before we go, is there anything that you guys have learned from being on social that you would like, if there was inspiration, that somebody needed that last little push to be comfortable, to be themselves, to be like, go and do social, what would be your parting words of wisdom to get them to make that jump?
we all have something to say. We're made of our experiences, and we all have a new take on whatever in any topic. Yeah, that's what I would say.
I like that a lot. I think a lot of people want to have a voice on social media, and it can be intimidating. What I did is I tried to find my tribe and just engage with their posts. I feel like anybody that's posting on LinkedIn or any other social media platform wants to see their content distributed and supported. So I became kind of, similar, I guess, to Chili Piper strategy, a hype man for a lot of other people out there, to the point where I found my tribe and I felt comfortable sharing a little bit of my journey. And what happened? Well, they reciprocated, and they were there to lift me up. So I think it's a great place to start. Commenting, liking people, thought-provoking questions, what you got from their post that really stuck out to you. It means a lot to the people that are posting it, and it's a great way to get started. And I would just say, asking you shall receive. Like, I love that story, Nicholas, because I think so many times we get in our head of why not to do something. And the least you can do is just ask and see what happens. And I promise you, you'd be surprised. 80% of the time, I'd say it works. People that I feel like I had no business talking to or responding to me. Now I'm on text basis with people that like I've looked up to for years. So I think there's such a power of showing up and just asking and seeing where that'll take you. And don't let that mental battle overwhelm you of saying, like, giving you reasons of what not to do something. Just ask and see what happens. And I'm sure 80% of the time it'll actually work in your favor.
Love it. Now everyone's inspired to go and do social. Where should they follow you guys? How can they connect with you just before we go and jump off the show here?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn probably the most, and maybe Marioli will get me on the Tiki game soon. But that's where you can find me.
I haven't seen you there yet.
Not yet.
Watch out for Nick Bennett.
Not yet. He's promising here. I'm on LinkedIn too, and of course follow Chili Piper, and you'll see everything that we are creating.
Seriously,
Chili
guys,
Piper
go
on
follow
LinkedIn,
Chili.
TikTok, and Instagram. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, everyone. And you guys have been absolutely amazing. And we really appreciate you joining us today. Just like going through and like commenting on your posts and getting to know you guys through social. You guys are authentic to who you are. It's amazing. I feel like I've known you guys for a long time, and that's thanks to social. So
yeah,
really appreciate you guys, and hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah,
Such a fun.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
It's been fantastic.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. It was a pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.
Goodbye.
Everybody.